Like they are beginning to inflate it. And it looks like they're starting to unfold in order to get that into the water here shortly and inflate that as well. In order to get that into the water here shortly and inflate that as well. Again, more than 40 people out in the water right now. Again, more than 40 people out in the water right now. And those Navy and NASA personnel have been in the water. And those, for now, Navy and NASA personnel have been in the water about 4 hours. About 4 hours. The reason why they had to get out so early is just to stage everything. The reason why they had to get out so early is, and actually just here on the ship, everything. When there are flight operations happening, you can't have anything else, right? When there are flight operations happening, you can't have anything else, right? The flight deck can be a dangerous place, so they just want to focus on. The flight deck can be a dangerous place, so they just want to focus on coming and going from the ship, so that's why they wanted to get the boats in the water, coming and going from the ship, so that's why they wanted to get the boats in the water, to make sure that they have all the time they needed for the flight ops. To make sure that they have all the time they needed for the flight ops. And then the same crew here out in the water, and then the same will stay out in the water for a number of hours after we recover the crew and get them back on the ship, a number of hours after we recover the crew and get them back on the ship, because then they have to recover Orion. All right, that stabilization collar looking good around Orion. We're now seeing some recovery personnel getting around Orion. We're now seeing some recovery personnel getting on. Again, they need to further attach it to Orion. Again, make sure that it can really attach it to Orion, the spacecraft. To make sure that it can really prop the water just a tad, the spacecraft. It's basically lifting it up off of the water just a tad. Again, so it's not so. So it doesn't sway so much in the water there. So it doesn't sway so much in the water there. Now that front porch looks like it's nearly fully inflated as well. And now that front porch, you can see a much nearly fully inflated as well. You can see a much larger surface area. And so once the crew get out of Orion, so once they can stretch their legs a little bit out of Orion, on this front porch, get some fresh air. They can stretch their legs a little bit on this front porch, get some fresh air, and enjoy this beautiful day here, and enjoy this home planet. Beautiful day here on their home planet. It appears teams now are about to connect the front porch to the stabilization collar. About to connect the front porch to the stabilization collar. And at that point, when both are secure, we should soon see astronauts. And at that point, when both are secure, we should soon see astronauts come out of Orion. All these views you see also being fed. All these views you see also being fed center here on the ship to the landing force operations center here on the ship. Of course, it is very important for our recovery teams Of course, it is very important for our recovery teams to have all the views that you're seeing as well. To have all the views that you're seeing as well. Again, listening to their communication loop here on the ship. Again, listening to their communication, which is a good thing, here on the ship. Very quiet. Things are going pretty nominally. Meaning as things are going pretty nominally. Meaning as expected. All this activity happening just 3,000 yards. Again, all this activity happening just 3,000 yards. Very quick away from the ship. So that means the helicopters for the crew. A very quick flight back on the helicopters for the crew, and then they'll be back here on the ship. 2-3 minutes, and then they'll be back here on the ship. Okay, saw a thumbs up. Okay. Saw a thumbs one of the personnel on the front porch. It looks like they are now getting ready to. It looks like they are now getting ready to deploy what they call the air rescue vest. Deploy what they call the. And so this is the harness vest (ARV) that each crew member. And so this is the harness will get into that in order to be hoisted into the helicopters. Will get into. Again, those helicopters hovering into the helicopters. Just about 40 feet above the front porch when they're ready. Just about 40 feet above the front porch when they're ready to pick up each crew member.
This is Mission Control Houston. Behind me, a fairly raucous This is Mission Control Houston. As hundreds of flight controllers have poured into the flight control room here. Hundreds of flight controllers this is reminiscent of the scene the flight control the final shuttle mission. This is reminiscent of the scene 135. The final that was the end of a program. This is only the beginning of a program of integrity with the textbook splashdown, standing by for the crew to be extracted from the spacecraft. We're standing by for the crew to be extracted from the spacecraft. Rick Henfling invited all of these flight controllers who have contributed to this mission to enter the flight controllers who have contributed to this mission to receive well wishes, to enter the flight control room, to share the opportunity to receive well wishes that exists in the wake of share the mutual mission glow for integrity on the front screen here in Mission Control. A sign that says integrity on the front screen here in Mission Control. Taking humanity back to the moon, going further, home integrity, and returning safely taking to humanity Earth. Back to the moon, all of going that further, jubilation, and returning safely to Earth. Post-splashdown activities, jubilation, even as we await part of the crew post-splashdown activities, even as we await Navy helicopters being extracted from the USS John P. Murtha onto Navy helicopters for the trip back to the USS John P. Murtha. You can hear it. Two crew members out, 2 to go. Jubilation here in the flight control room. The first crew member is out of integrity. We're about 1 hour from sunset out in the Pacific. Everything continues to go well. Integrity's systems function perfectly during its entry back to Earth. And Reid Wiseman, the commander, who will be the other crew members, momentarily reported that all the crew members were feeling very well. We now have 2 crew members out. Crew member number 3 now out. And now standing 2 crew members for the commander, Reid Wiseman, who will be last out of his ship. Bobbing in the Pacific under almost ideal conditions, Integrity spanned 694,000 miles during its journey from launch to splashdown. We're about 1 hour from sunset out in the Pacific. Everything continues to go well. Integrity's systems function perfectly during its entry back to Earth. And Reid Wiseman, the commander, who will be last out of the vehicle, reported that all the crew members were feeling very well. Crew member number 3 now out, and we now have Reid Wiseman out of the vehicle, all 4 crew members now out of integrity. And now standing by for the commander, Reid Wiseman, who will be last out of his ship. Bobbing in the Pacific under almost ideal conditions, Integrity spanned 694,000 miles during its journey from launch to splashdown. Once again, all 4 crew members now on the front porch, and the procedure to begin hoisting them up to these 2 Navy helicopters hovering overhead will begin shortly. And we now have Reid Wiseman out of the vehicle, all 4 crew members now out of integrity. Once again, all 4 crew members now on the front porch, and the procedure to begin hoisting them up to these 2 Navy helicopters hovering overhead will begin shortly. This is Mission Control Houston. The mission is over, but the melody lingers on as jubilation continues here in the flight control room. We should be expecting NASA's Associate Administrator, Amit Kshatriya, to be joining us shortly for a short interview while the recovery operations continue out in the Pacific. So we'll stand by for that. And then we'll turn it back over to Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha. This is Mission Control Houston. The mission is over, but the melody lingers on as jubilation continues here in the flight control room. We should be expecting NASA's Associate Administrator, Amit Kshatriya, to be joining us shortly for a short interview while the recovery operations continue out in the Pacific. So we'll stand by for that. And then we'll turn it back over to Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha. This is Mission Control Houston here in the Artemis flight control room. A number of flight controllers basking in the glory of the successful end of this mission that carried 4 astronauts around the moon on a lunar flyby, and the first test flight of Orion with crew members on board. Splashdown occurring an hour and 32 minutes ago after a flawless descent back into the Earth's atmosphere for the vehicle. Its 4 crew members in good shape, simply enjoying their time right now on the front porch, as it were, the inflatable raft alongside of their Integrity spacecraft. We're expecting Amit Kshatriya, the NASA Associate Administrator, to join us here momentarily for a brief interview before we turn it back over to Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha, the recovery ship. This is Mission Control Houston here in the Artemis flight control room. A number of flight controllers basking in the glory of the successful end of this mission that carried 4 astronauts around the moon on a lunar flyby, and the first test flight of Orion with crew members on board. Splashdown occurring an hour and 32 minutes ago after a flawless descent back into the Earth's atmosphere for the vehicle. Its 4 crew members in good shape, simply enjoying their time right now on the front porch, as it were, the inflatable raft alongside of their Integrity spacecraft. We're expecting Amit Kshatriya, the NASA Associate Administrator, to join us here momentarily for a brief interview before we turn it back over to Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha, the recovery ship. This is Mission Control Houston. We're about an hour and 34 minutes since the textbook splashdown of integrity in the Pacific to bring home our astronauts. And with us now is Amit Kshatriya, the NASA Associate Administrator. Amit, a little bit of history made tonight, a little bit of history made over the past few weeks. Your thoughts as this team here basks in the glow of what they just accomplished?
Yeah, Rob, we're here in the control center, and it's kind of overrun with jubilant folks from the Mission Control Houston, as well as engineering, and folks that just want to be here, part of it, as we watch our crew get extracted from the vehicle. And, you know, my thought is always about these teams, the team that's in the water right now, pulling the crew out, the team here in Houston that worked so hard over the last 10 days, no sleep to get this done. You know, we still have some work to do to get the crew to the med bay here on the ship. They all look great coming out, so hopefully that won't be too long. You know, I think we saw the administrator on the boat too, giving his thanks to the Navy team on the Mirtha, which they're just an incredible group of sailors. I was able to visit with them a couple weeks ago, and then if you pull it all the way back to the workers
this is
and
Mission
the
Control
folks that joined the rocket at Michoud,
we're about an hour and 34 minutes
that held
since
together
the
tonight,
textbook splashdown
that stacked the vehicle
of
in
integrity
Florida,
in the Pacific
that
to bring home our astronauts.
And fired the engines
now
and
is Amit
Stennis, that fired the
Kshatriya,
boosters
the
and
NASA
promontory. I mean, this is the entire team, you know, coming together and being tested by the environment.
A little bit of history made tonight, a little bit of history made over the past few weeks.
They did it right. The work was good. They did it right.
As this team here, you've said in a number of briefings, of course, and in other
we're here
forums,
in the control center, and
this is just the first step.
Kind of overrun.
The cadence has to step up, as the administrator has indicated.
Control Houston, as well as
now, it's a little early for the full report card on how integrity did, but did this mission ultimately, from your eyes view, exceed expectations?
Always absolutely did. I mean, I was waiting to talk about this in the water, and you know, the crew out. Again, work to do to bring it in, and really kind of go through it bolt by bolt and see what we learned. But I mean, so far, given what we learned, we still have some work to do to get the crew to the med bay on ascent, on entry, on the ship. They all look great. I always think about energy in terms of that won't be too long. You know, I think we saw the administrator on the boat too. Every time we put these machines to the Navy team, incredibly energetic states that came through. Just an incredible group of sailors. I was able to visit with them a couple weeks ago, and then if you pull it all the way back on the path towards the surface, I think the path to the surface is open now. The rocket, you know, we do have to do all the work, and we'll make sure we talk about that. You know, that stacked the vehicle. We learned a few things during the mission, integrated the vehicle in Denver. This was an incredible test. Stennis, that fired the boosters and promontory. I mean, this is the entire team
from an American psyche standpoint.
Being tested by the environment that this machine went through.
Tonight,
they did it right. The work was good. They did it right.
On baseball stadiums. You've said in around the number of briefings, of course, and in other forums, was this is just the first for the American people, for the world. Has to step as we return. The administrator has indicated. You know, I was it's a little early for the full report card on how integrity did,
we progressed through the mission. I will tell you, just from my witness view in Florida before launch, and then seeing that it absolutely did. I mean, I was waiting to talk about this, reading where in the water about how things are going. Again, work to do to bring it into the world and really kind of go through it. NASA's given see what we learned, but I mean, so far, given what we learned in the mission and given how we folks all over the place, especially young people, and to me is what this is really about. Young people, energy in terms of the states what we can do when we work together. About the most, and every time we put these machines through these incredibly energetic states that came through. So I'm fairly confident that we made a big step tonight to get us on the path towards the surface. We were able to do. The surface is open now. This incredible team that we do have to do all the work, and scientists and engineers and artists that have been inspired by this. As we can. And even if they don't come work in the program, which separately they should come work in the program, this was an incredible test. We need the help of an incredible machine. But even if they don't want to come work in the program, hopefully they grow up to recognize they can do amazing things when they work together and contribute to society and be good citizens and really change the way, you know, the challenges that are coming in the world are around the major leagues if we work together like this.
How captivating was this experience for the American people, for the world, in fact? We did as we returned to the moon. We've done it again this past week and a half or so.
I have not been able to watch a lot of the coverage
that went behind the design of this mission,
progressed through the mission. I will tell you, just, you know, from my witness in Florida before launch, and then seeing the people's faces here, and then, you know, reading where I can about how incredible when you think about the energy been a gift to the world, the uncertainties involved from NASA. NASA's given the world into orbit. It was proving to to folks all over the place, especially young people, and that to me is what this is really about. Here, you know, our guys know exactly where to go, but the guidance what we can do when we work together, when we, you know, it's interesting. Teams that collaborate. I've got this question a lot. It doesn't matter how hard a few weeks about the problems are. We did this before Artemis II years ago, and you know, as folks witness, I mean, it is a reasonable thing to contemplate. Like this incredible team that we've birthed into the world. What I'd tell you, scientists and engineers and artists that have been inspired by when we did Apollo, and even if they don't come work in the program, we learn about what they should come work in the program, because Lord knows we need the help. What they were able to accomplish, even if they don't want to come work in the program, learnings that they had. Hopefully they grow up to when we did Apollo, the architects of Apollo, and they work together and contribute to society and be good citizens and really what they really wanted to do that are coming in the world are as they were contemplating what it meant to expand our range of action to the lunar surface. What they wanted to do was learn how to live and work in space for a long time. They wanted to do that first before they were confident they could expand their range of action to the moon. Now, of course, the politics at the time and the mission at the time was different, and so they had to go straight to the moon and bring people home. And then after that, the program kind of lost its momentum.
It's almost mind-boggling.
After that, NASA kept incredible when you think about the energies involved. We recognized during Apollo that reusability was going to be important. We spent a lot of money on those machines, and we spent a lot of money on these machines here down the middle when we dropped the. But we recognized right on top of the fleet here. Our guys knew exactly where to go. The guidance shuttle was perfect. And then we used that reusable machine to build a space station. I've got this question a lot for 25 years how to live and work in space, and have been able to. We did this before 53 years ago. So really, I think it is a reasonable thing to contemplate. Like what's gone on since then. And what I tell you would have been pleased that we're now ready to actually go back to the moon. The more we learn about what they did, the more magical it seems what they were able to accomplish given the technology and the learnings that they had.
We really thank you for joining us.
When we did Apollo, the architects of Apollo, Gilbert, Seaman, von Braun,
as we begin to hoist
Mueller,
the crew onto the helicopters to head back to the recovery ship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. As they were contemplating what it meant to expand our range of action to the lunar surface, what they wanted to do was learn how to live and work in space for a long time. They wanted to do that first before they were confident they could expand their range of action to the moon. Now, of course, the politics of the time and the mission at the time was different, and so they had to go straight to the moon and bring people home. And then after that, the program kind of lost its momentum. But after that, NASA kept moving along those paths, right? So
this is Mission Control Houston, with the crew members now beginning to be hoisted aboard the Navy helicopters.
We spent a lot of money on these machines here.
Let's go to Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha,
but we recognized that reusability was important, which is why we built a winged space plane called the Space Shuttle. And then we used that reusable machine to build a space station. And we learned for 25 years how to live and work in space, and have been able to develop technologies that can enable exploration. So really, what I
first one there.
The architect that we're now ready to actually go back to the moon and go back to stay, because we've learned all the things we needed to learn.
40 feet.
There's a lot of people pleased here tonight, and we really thank NASA's the crew onto the helicopters to head back to the recovery ship. Thank you very much. Congratulations on it.
A harness that will allow them to quickly attach to the hoisting device. Look at the power of those blades throwing water out at the center there. The front porch.
This is Mission Control Houston, with the crew members now beginning to be hoisted aboard the Navy helicopters. Let's go to Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha, who will take it from here.
Again, Cruz already outfitted with a harness vest. And here we go. Hey, Rob, back second astronaut now off the ship here, getting hoisted into the second helicopters circling Orion. The first one there, having just completed picking up the first astronaut. That helicopter Kilo 2 now hovering just 40 feet distance away to give room for the first helicopter to come back. A recovery specialist out of the helicopter. That person will touch down in the front porch just there as we wait for that helicopter to come back, make its way back around. Just want to mention that the crew members already outfitted with a harness that will allow them to quickly attach today while he was on the ship to the hoisting device. Minutes after we interviewed him live on our coverage and congratulated him and NASA. Look at the power of those blades on this history-making moment tonight. Throwing water out at the center there. The front Helicopter 1 again hovering 40 feet with now 3 astronauts over the front porch and the recovery specialists. We will soon see another recovery specialist getting again crews onto the front porch. Already outfitted with a harness vest. Wow, imagine sitting on that front porch, the wind, the second water. Astronaut now off the front porch, getting hoisted but again, into the recovery team the second determined that a helicopter flight back to the ship here would be safer, faster, and more comfortable for our helicopter. Will now who just completed a 10-day mission around the moon. Hover just a distance away to give room for the first helicopter to come back, getting hoisted quickly back. Pick up the third astronaut into the first helicopter now. As we wait for that helicopter to come back, make its way back around, just want to mention that that first helicopter now on its way back to the ship. Our NASA administrator today while he was on the ship. A few minutes, just minutes after we interviewed him, just 3,000 yards away from us, so a very quick flight back. And congratulated him and NASA on this history-making moment tonight. And now the only person left on the front porch, Commander Reid Wiseman. Helicopter 1 again hovering 40 feet. That second helicopter now making its way back over to the front porch. We will soon see another recovery specialist getting lowered onto the front porch. Wow, imagine sitting on that front porch, the wind, the water. But again, the recovery team determines that a helicopter flight back to the ship here would be safer, faster, and more comfortable for our crew, who just completed a 10-day mission around the moon. Third astronaut in the air, getting hoisted quickly back into the first helicopter now. That first helicopter now on its way back to the ship. The last astronaut see it land in Commander Reid Wiseman. A few minutes. Again, all this action happening just 3,000 yards away from us, so a very quick flight back to the second flight deck helicopter. Both now on their way back to the ship, where we are. Now the only person left, John P. Murtha, Commander Reid Wiseman, just west of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. That second helicopter now making its way back over to the front porch. Here it comes. Exciting to see our 4 crew members minutes making away its final approach from landing on the flight deck here on the recovery ship. 550 people on this ship. Excited, ready, anxious, looking forward to welcoming this crew aboard. Watching them now with our own eyes. Close to the ship here, the last astronaut, Commander Reid Wiseman, begin to hover on the flight deck, now which is just across from us, almost here on the bow, into the second helicopter. Both now on their way back to the ship, where we are. The USS John P. Murtha, the first helicopter just west of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. Exciting to see our 4 crew members minutes away and wheels down from landing on the flight deck. Wheels down of the first helicopter, carrying 2 of our Artemis II crew. 550 people on this ship. Victor Glover, excited and ready, anxious. Christina Koch, looking forward to welcoming this crew aboard. Kilo 1 on deck reported on the recovery loop. Again, the mission audio loops that the recovery team are using here to communicate with one another. Watching the announcement just made on the ship, integrity incoming. close to the ship here. 2 more helicopters on their way to the flight deck, one carrying the crew on the flight deck, which is just across from us. One of our imagery helicopters. Again, kudos to our imagery and aerial teams for giving us these beautiful views. The first helicopter of history in the making. Coming in, set amid a gorgeous, soon-to-be sunset here in the Pacific Ocean. Second helicopter. And wheels down. Making its approach of the flight deck. Wheels down of the first helicopter, carrying 2 of our Artemis II crew. Plenty of people here on the bow with their cell phones out, filming this moment. Specialist Christina Koch. Kilo 1 on deck reported on the recovery loop. Again, the mission audio loops that the recovery team are using here to communicate with one another. And an announcement just made on the ship, integrity incoming. Some impressive flying here by the Navy. 2 more helicopters on their way to the flight deck, one carrying the crew away, the other wheels down. One of our imagery, and there you go. Helicopters. We now have all 4 Artemis II crew members to our imagery and aerial teams on the USS John P. Murtha. These beautiful views of history in the making. I'm sure they're happy to be out of the water. A gorgeous, soon-to-be sunset here in the Pacific Ocean. And on this recovery ship with, again, 550 people on board, ready to second helicopter. But first, as we've been saying throughout the broadcast, just making sure the crew feel good. We reported that they were feeling here on the bow with their cell phones out. Those were just initial filming this moment, verbal assessments of how they're feeling. Their destination tonight, the medical bay here on the ship. Right after we power down the helicopters here. Some impressive flying here by the Navy. As we are seconds away, the team on the flight deck working quickly but methodically. There you go. We now have all 4 Artemis II crew members on the USS John P. Murtha. I'm sure they're happy to be out of the water. Helicopter to touchdown. And on this recovery ship with, again, 550 people on board, ready to welcome them home. But first, as we've been saying throughout the broadcast, just making sure the limited personnel here on the flight deck. We reported that they were feeling good when they were in Orion, but those were just initial, quick, verbal assessments of how they're feeling. Their destination tonight, the medical bay here on the ship.
The ship is at flight quarters. Stand
right
clear
after we power down the helicopters here.
Thrown articles over the side. Hold all trash and garbage on station. Flight quarters.
Well, just a few folks on the flight deck itself. There are plenty more on some team on the flight deck. I see it's working quickly but methodically. A very packed crowd overhead. Announcements being made over the ship's loudspeaker system, reminding folks to stay clear of operational areas like the flight deck, waiting for just 1 more helicopter to touch down, so that teams can work quickly to get the crew off of the helicopters and into the medical bay. Very limited personnel here on the flight deck. Splashdown today, 5:06 p.m. Pacific time. As that third helicopter touches down. We are within 2 hours of that splashdown time, and already we have all 4 crew members on the flight deck of the USS John P. Murtha.
The ship Ship is at flight quarters. Stand clear of weather decks, of frame 095, or no cover stop signs through articles over the
Again,
side.
crew
All
waiting
trash and garbage on station.
before getting out for the helicopters.
Folks on the flight deck itself.
Shut down. There are plenty more on some upper decks. I've seen some of our views. Safety, of course, very important to NASA and the U.S. military. Announcements being made over the ship's loudspeaker system, reminding folks here before we start to stay clear of operational areas like the flight deck. Walk on as the first crew to return the first helicopter carrying pilot Victor Glover and mission specialist Christina Koch. Both have taken off their helmets now. Oh, there we see Christina there, also smiling, finally peering out, waving at the cameras. Hello to you too, Christina, yes. To catalog welcome back, this historic welcome home. A beautiful sunset just behind them. Loudspeaker announcement on the ship saying, "Welcome home, integrity." Golden hour. These pictures will be beautiful. Victor in great spirits. Now we see. I can't see who he's talking to, but I kind of think that he might be talking to his other two crew members, as well as flight surgeon Rick shouting from across the flight deck. Congratulations to one another. Victor and Christina first. We saw the administrator walk over to the other helicopter, which is carrying Commander Reid Wiseman and mission specialist Jeremy Hansen. We heard from Rick earlier the broadcast. Again, he said he's going to be out there on the flight deck, walking up to the helicopter. Do another hugs with more hugs. He's a hugger. Reid looking good as he takes his steps towards the looking good as he walks across the flight deck. NASA administrator applauding. Victor applauding for all the folks on Artemis II crew members back on the ship. Again, now they will return today. Head into medical bay, where they will be assessed by flight surgeons from both NASA as well as the Canadian Space Agency. A more in-depth assessment. When they get to medical bay, they will each have their own nurse. They will be helped out of their suits. And finally, just one Artemis II crew member, and then again will left on the flight deck. Check to see that they're feeling good. Make sure it's not just adrenaline, but that they are feeling good from their long journey back from the moon. Applause from that sunset. The group there on the flight deck, I'm sure, as well as illuminating our flight deck. On the level just above them, packed with people. Reid looking good as he takes his steps towards the medical bay. All right, and now with our astronauts safely on board, I want to welcome on Artemis Recovery Director Lily Villarreal. Lily, I don't know how you must be feeling right now. Ecstatic. Two crew members relieved, back on the ship.
Ecstatic, relieved. Of
Again,
course,
now
we still have to bring the capsule
head into
the well deck of the ship, but this is a major milestone
by
to have the crew
flight surgeons from both NASA as well as the Canadian Space Agency.
Our team has been preparing and working really hard, and I'm just so proud of them all. Everything went very well, just as planned.
When they get to medical bay, they will each have their own nurse.
The flight control team was just amazing. We were able to